We'll do it in a bit. Probably we'll give people half an hour. Hey, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. Great to see everyone. Everyone's saying Happy New Year, but everyone knows it's almost February, so we're well into 2026. We have a lot on the agenda today, and I'm super grateful for who showed up in person and for those online. So thank you for doing so. Let's go ahead and do roll call.
Aldana, absent. Erickson, here. Johnson,
here.
Kachak, I see her online. Menina, absent. Minerby, Hope,
Here.
Quadri absent. Robati, absent. Salas,
Here.
Wong,
Present. Here.
Young,
Here.
and Lee. Chair, you have quorum with 9 members.
Okay, I think I mentioned this to some of you, but I talked to the neighborhood commission, and if we have a vote, which we do have a resolution on the ballot, people have to have their camera on if we're going to meet quorum. So just an FYI, since we have a decent number of remote people today, let's go ahead. Is fire department here? All right, sounds great. You want to come up to the mic?
Hello, Firefighter Suzo from the McCully Fire Station. The statistics provided below represent confirmed number of incidents in the neighborhood board's geographical area for the previous month. For details on the incidents and related mapping information, please visit the Fire Response Search tool on our HFD website at fire.honolulu.gov under the News and Info tab. Should you have questions, please email hfdnhb@honolulu.gov. Incident statistics for December 2025. Fires. We had 1 structure fire, 1 wildland brush fire, 1 nuisance, 0 cooking fires, and 17 activated alarms. We had 104 medical emergencies, 4 motor vehicle collisions with pedestrian, 9 motor vehicle collisions, crash/collisions, 0 mountain rescues, 0 ocean rescues, and 3 hazardous materials incidents. Nuisance fires include rubbish fires outside a structure or vehicle. Fire safety tips and announcements. Fire safety tip: electrical safety in the home. Check for electrical hazards in your home. Here are some tips to keep your ohana safe. Plug 1 heat-producing appliance, coffee maker, toaster, etc. into a wall receptacle outlet at a time. Major appliances, refrigerators, dryers, stoves, etc. should be plugged directly into the wall receptacle outlet. Extension cords and power taps or strips should not be used. Check electrical cords to ensure they are not running across doorways or on carpets. Extension cords are intended for temporary use. Have a licensed electrician install additional receptacle outlets to eliminate using extension cords, and ensure electrical work is performed by a licensed electrician. Any questions?
Could you give us a compare and contrast about fireworks this year versus previous years?
I don't have the exact numbers. I can get that for you. But by the eye test, I mean, I'm sure you guys probably agree it's a little bit down from previous years. So,
Any questions from the board? Or community members? Or Honolulu Fire Department? All right.
all right.
No more questions. Thank you for coming. We appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you guys.
Take care.
Be safe.
All right. District 1. Thank you for coming in person.
I'm Sergeant Lee, and this is the stats for December.
You speak closer to the mic.
2025. Can you hear me now? For the neighborhood board meeting number 8, this month, the motor vehicle theft was 6. The previous month was 5. Burglary, 1. Previous month in November was 1. Theft, 6. November, 0. UMV, which is unauthorized entry to a motor vehicle, 2. Last month, 0. Assault, 1. This month, last month, 1. Sex assaults, 0 for this month and 0 for last month. Graffiti, 0 for this month, 1 for last month. And narcotics arrest, 0 this month and 1 for last month. We had a total of 459 calls for service this month alone. And last one we had 400. And we are doing traffic awareness and traffic enforcement due to the high volume of pedestrian accidents and motor vehicle collisions. So that's our focus for this past month.
Any questions for Sergeant Lee? Go ahead, Daniela. Can you use the mic?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I saw a few days ago an accident with a fire truck, ambulance, and several police cars at the intersection University Avenue Capiolani.
Okay.
You-
Yeah, I know where that is.
What happened exactly then? They're talking about pedestrian being hurt or, excuse me, sorry, too much noise.
Yeah.
You can,
What day are you talking about?
you know, was within 5 days ago. Within 5, I cannot tell you exactly. If
There's
it's not
there's many accidents that
that
happen. Yeah.
location,
Yeah.
university, okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
You can contact our command and they can get a better
Okay,
um
okay.
idea
no,
of what you're talking
Okay,
about.
no problem.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Any other questions for District 1 HPD? All right. I don't see any. Thank you so much for
you. Have a
coming
nice day.
and let us know, keep us posted about how the traffic stops go. All right. Is District 7 online or in person?
Hi, good afternoon. Lieutenant Officer for District 7. I'll go over the stats. There's 9 motor vehicle thefts, 7 burglaries, 22 thefts, and 10 unauthorized entry to motor vehicles. Total calls for service for the month of December was 5,968. Safety tip for the month. I'd like to go back over the department's Safer Roads Together, Drive with Aloha. This campaign emphasizes safety of everyone's kuleana, and HPD will engage drivers and community members in constructive ways to promote safer roads and behaviors rather than focus solely on enforcement. Tips for drivers: buckle up every trip, every seat. Put phones down and stay alert. Slow down in neighborhoods near schools and in high traffic areas. Drive sober and look out for others on the road. Tips for pedestrians: use crosswalks and wait for the walk signal. Make eye contact with drivers before crossing. Avoid distractions such as phones and headphones while crossing. Wear bright or reflective clothing at night. Safety tips for motorcyclists: always wear a helmet and protective gear. Stay visible by wearing bright clothing and using headlights even during the day. Ride defensively and watch for vehicles changing lanes, and never ride impaired, and always obey the speed limits. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them at this time.
Anyone have any questions for Lieutenant Thompson?
I have a question online.
Go ahead.
Hi, officer. Thank you. I was curious if you can share more about the red light enforcement for the cameras, and just to get clarification if that's already been in effect. And
Wait
if
one
so,
second. Kayla Holani, we have material here and
okay,
Governor's Rep is going to go over it.
okay, thank you.
If you want to comment, you can, Lieutenant Thompson, but just flagging that.
For the patrol side, we don't participate in that red light enforcement, the camera enforcement. It's
Mhm.
done through our traffic division and I guess the company that does that operates the cameras.
Okay, thanks, Lieutenant.
Anyone else with any questions for the police? All right. Thank you so much for coming, Lieutenant Thompson. We appreciate it.
Thank
I'll
you.
talk
Have a
to
good
you
evening.
Next month. All right, let's move on to Board of Water Supply. Hello, Steve.
Hi, good evening, Chair, members, and community members. I'm Stephen Nordstrom from the Board of Water Supply. And for the month of January, for our monthly report, there were no main breaks to report in December. And our big announcement, of course, is conserving water comes with bigger rewards. And so we've partnered with the Department of Environmental Services. They have doubled some of our rebates, including the Energy Star clothes washer, which is now $150, $200 for a WaterSense labeled toilet, $400 for our smart water monitor. And I have some flyers over there that you can pick up to take home with you. Commercial customers also qualify for some higher rebates on plumbing and kitchen equipment. And you can get more information. It's right there on our website at boardofwatersupply.com/rebates. And that's our announcement.
Steve, I just wanted to say that frequently when I am on Kapiolani, headed towards McCully Boulevard, or McCully Street, and I pass that storage area, their sprinklers are frequently flooding the sidewalks pretty significantly.
Which location is that?
McCully and Kapiolani.
Oh, is it a business or McCully and Kapiolani? Okay, I can reach out to them and let them know.
Okay.
Is it you're saying they're overwatering?
I would definitely say that, and it like looks like to the point where it's like flooding.
Oh, that's not good.
I
Okay.
have pictures that I can send.
Yeah, can you send that? That'd be great. Thank you very much. I'll follow up
Definitely.
on that.
Adendra, did you have a question? Sorry. Anyone else on the board have a question? Or anyone online? Do you know, Curtis? Okay. Go ahead, Karen. Sorry, can you identify yourself too?
Oh, Karen Lynn, I live in Mōʻiliʻili. I had a question about condos. I was told that our water is paid by the condo association. And so then our manager told us, our association manager told us that this only applies to the individuals within, and they would be applying then for each individual apartment. And my understanding was that the association would be getting the rebate. Is that correct? Or how does that work?
That is a great question, and I'll clarify that for you. So if you live at a condominium, like she mentioned, you don't pay a water bill directly. So when you go and when you purchase the item, so like a toilet, for example, you go to our website and where it says account number, you just put the name of your building. And so when the rebate check is printed, they'll mail it right to your apartment. So very easy, but that's the biggest one. We're always trying to outreach and educate folks on that, because when you do live in a condo, you're not paying the water bill directly. So it's not top of mind, or you may not know what to do exactly or what your account number is. So yeah.
Allison?
Hi, Allison Peterson, Mōʻiliʻili resident as well. So just to expand on what Karen said, so please clarify, does the association have to apply for it, or can we do it? I think I went on the site and we can do it ourselves, right? Just print out a PDF and email it. Yeah, and then the rebate check will go directly to the resident. And so the association doesn't have to have anything to do with it. Thank you.
Yeah, so just to clarify, that will come directly to the owner of the apartment or whoever who's living. Even if you're renting and you switch out the toilet, it will come directly to you, not the association, unless the association changes it out and they do it themselves. Then of course the rebate will go to them. So,
Any other questions for Stephen / Board of Water Supply? Okay. Thank you for coming. Happy New Year. All right. Gary, you get to come up before 8 o'clock at night.
Thank you for moving me up. My name is Gary Yamashroya. I work for the Department of Taxation. However, I'm here representing
Can you speak a little closer to the mic?
the governor's administration. I don't know if that's working now. Okay. So my name is Gary Yamashroya. I work for the Department of Taxation. However, I'm here representing the governor's administration. I had received some questions from the board regarding the cameras, whether they were the red light cameras, speed cameras, or noise cameras. So I did respond with responses, and I put together a summary for the board, which I handed out prior to the meeting. It's the same thing that I sent Curtis and the chair earlier. But
do you want to give some highlights from it?
sure. So some of the questions that came through. I think some people were curious about the process and how these were, the citations were handled. So actually, all this information is available on the Department of Transportation website. There are different sections on their website as to the speed cameras or the red light cameras. Mostly not too much about the noise cameras, but as I said at the last meeting, those are, they're not issuing citations and they're mobile. So those are going to be moving around. I took recommendations from the board last time. I did submit them to the Department of Transportation. So they're going to take that into consideration where they're going to put them. But to give you a sample, so the incident occurs, someone goes to the red light or they're speeding, the images are captured by the system, they're recorded and encrypted. There's still images created, there's a video, and then the data is collected. So the data is then sent to the vendor processing center for screening. For example, the captured data shows a violation matching a DMV license plate. Only potential violations are forwarded for additional screening to the Honolulu Police Department, who then review it and makes a final decision whether to approve or reject the violation. Once the violation is approved, they're queued for printing and mailed within 10 days after the incident. And then the violator can actually go online and review the data on the portal, which includes the images and the video captured by the system. And then they provide payment options, or you can request a court hearing if you deny the violation or if you want to appeal. So that's a sample of the process itself. The fines, there's actually a long statutory provision. It's Hawaii Revised Statute Section 291C-161. That's for the red light imaging, if you want to take a look at it. But a lot of it depends on whether it's your first violation, second violation, third violation. But it goes from $250 to $500 for a third or subsequent violation within 1 year. But you can take a look at that. And for the speed violation, it looks like it's Hawaii Revised Statute 291C-108. And the fine can range between $167 to $317, depending on how much over the speed limit the vehicle was observed going. There are examples of citations on the website if you want to take a look at what a citation would look like. And I don't know if there are any questions about the cameras, the traffic cameras.
Anyone have questions about the traffic cameras in general? Anyone
have
online?
one. I do
All
have
right,
one.
go ahead.
I'm curious. I'm curious as to the magnitude of the fines, whether they're influenced by the amount that the third party is going to be making. I'm curious. I'm not used to fines being that high, so I'm just curious as to. Then again, I haven't had a fine in 30 years, but I'm wondering if there's a reason why they're so high. Is it because we have to pay the vendor?
I think that's, I don't have an answer to that, but
Gary, this is Shelley from DOT.
Great, Shelley's online, great.
Sorry, this is Shelley from DOT. So the vendor is not paid per citation. They receive a flat rate based off of how many cameras are operational. The fine that goes out for the red light is actually based on the City and County of Honolulu, their ticket books. So I believe it's $92 or $97. And because it's registered owner liability, it's not assessed based on how many previous citations of the potential driver. For the speed, it is tied to how many miles per hour over the speed limit. So that is basically if you're going, I can pull that up, but if you're going 20 miles per hour over the posted speed limit, which at the McCully and Algaroba site, let me pull up the posted speed limit. We have actually we have all of that up on our website, but let me pull up the judiciary ranges for the speed over.
I guess the primary question I had to do with the $250 to $500 fine. I think that was for the red light. And I was wondering if that was the same if we were caught by a camera or if we were cited by a police officer. Would the fine be the same?
No, if you're cited by the camera, it's $97.
Oh, okay. I thought it was mentioned a minute ago there was ranging between $250 and $500.
Actually,
I
guess I
believe
was
that's what's allowable. That's what's allowable under the HRS, but due to it being registered owner liability, they don't take into account potential previous citations.
let me clarify that. That's actually the ceiling. So it shall be not fined, not more than 250 for first violation, 300 for second within 1 year, and 500 for third. But Shelley's the authority, so I would rely on her, what she's saying. That's just what the statute says as far as the ceiling of what the fine could be.
Okay, thank you very much.
Other questions that we have? Anyone else on the board?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Kaylani.
If you can, okay. So my question is, if you can share, if you're able to share where these fines will go to, will it be redirected back to our district?
It goes to a special fund for the maintenance of the cameras or the expansion. So it can only be used for the program.
Okay, mahalo.
Any other red light camera questions?
I have a question. Hi,
Go ahead.
this is Noel. Is this like happening forever, or is this a testing program? Is this just the new normal? And I'm just so curious because it just seemed to happen overnight and it's kind of a big deal.
So we actually started with the red light cameras with a 2-year pilot in 2022. So they all were activated November 2022. And then pretty much after the pilot was completed, we saw like a 76% reduction in major crashes. That's property damage over 3,000 or serious injury at the sites, and a 62% decline in the red light violations. So that was the red light. The speed was basically the systems were already capable of that, and we turned that feature on and began issuing citations December 5th. So we're still kind of seeing, and so far we've had under 20 of those speed citations. So we're looking at expansion based off of the crash reduction and red light violation reductions. But I think if they start to, we do have a 10-year contract coming up. So that is kind of what the plan is overall.
Where was the test site done?
The test site, so if you go to that website in the link, there's 10 intersections and 17 cameras. So the ones I believe in the McCully, Mōʻiliʻili area are the McCully and Algeroba, and we also have, let me pull up the map. We also have one at Kapiolani and Kamake'e.
All right, Daniela, go ahead. And just a reminder, if you are online, please just hit the raise hand button if you're going to raise your hand before you unmute yourself. Thank you.
2 questions. How about the maintenance of this camera? They will always be working? One. Second question, perhaps you mentioned it. When will be possible to see that the use of this camera have been effective in controlling traffic violations? When will be possible to see the comparison with camera or before when there were no cameras? Thank you.
Okay, so we actually have the report from when the pilot ended, which I'll put a link to that in the chat that shows the major crash reduction in those areas. And then as far as maintenance goes, so the vendor comes out and calibrates the LiDAR, that's the light detection and ranging. So that's the technology that they use to get the speeds. So they calibrate that once a year and they do additional maintenance if there's anything that seems to be strange in the data they're getting from it. But let me put the link to the report in the chat.
Thank you.
All right, glad we could talk about red light cameras at length because I know people have had questions about them for a couple months. Barry, do you want to continue? I think we are.
Just have thanks, Shelley, for attending.
Yes, thank you, Shelley.
So the other two things I have is that I just got this. The public is invited to take a survey on Red Hill. So DLNR is asking everybody to provide input. It's a 10-minute survey, and it can be found at redhillsurvey.com. They want to make sure there's a cross-section of the population on Oahu represented. And they're also going to be mailing out randomly selected Oahu residents starting January 20th of 2026, which already happened. All responses will be anonymous and a summary of the responses will be reported, so no identifying information will be connected to the responses. The survey will be open until February 28th, 2026. So if you can go online and submit the surveys as soon as you can.
What's the survey about? I know it's about Red Hill, but what is it?
The results will be used to develop the LNR's new public information and education program on remediation phases at Red Hill.
Okay, thanks.
And the last thing is, I don't know if everybody saw KHON this morning. The director of taxation was on. It's tax season, so Monday, April 20th, not the 15th, April 20th is the state tax deadline. So we encourage people to file online as soon as possible to limit identity theft or any type of fraud. But the federal is always going to be April 15th unless it falls on a weekend. So just a reminder, get your taxes in early.
All right, any questions regarding the governor? Which Gary is.
And also the state of the state was this morning. So if you have an opportunity to watch it, I would recommend you watch it to see what the priorities are for this legislative session.
Any questions here from the board or anyone online? Any members of the public? Okay. Thank you very much for coming and for all the red light camera information. I appreciate it. Okay. I don't think Senator Ihara is coming, but I don't know if anyone from his office is coming. No one from the office? Okay. I see Hector here from Senator Fukunaga's office. You gonna give us an update? So I asked all the legislators if they could come and prepare their three big most important bills that they wanted people to know about, and then also if they're on any committees or so forth. I know different offices had different times to do this, so hopefully we'll have some presentations from people and get a better sense of, since we have so many legislators that come to this board. Go ahead.
My name is Hector Venegas. I am a community liaison for Senator Carol Fukunaga. I'm just going to give some highlights of the newsletter that I have passed it around. One of the things that, first of all, she is with the changes on the committees. She is now the Public Safety and Military Affairs Chair. As such, she works with the military. She works for the Department of Law Enforcement. And according to Mr. Lambert, Michael Lambert, the illegal fireworks this last year came down 20%. They were able to confiscate a lot of fireworks at various points. I don't have the details for it, but it went down 20%. It's on your flyer. Secondly, there are many condominium associations, and they have issues to be addressed. And right now, she is listening to them to come with legislative bills to address those issues. That's what has taken a little bit of her time. Thirdly, because of the military affairs, she has been asked to work on a commemorative medal for Vietnam veterans. And at this point, we are gathering information to come to put a resolution this year. The program most likely will take a couple of years to get it on because we need to identify who they are alive, they are dead. So it's gonna be a tedious job, but we're ready to address that. Basically, that's highlights that I have for you. If you have any questions for her, I'll be glad to take them with me.
Thank you, Hector. All right. Does anyone on the board have questions for Senator Fukunaga's office and/or Hector? All right, Laura, I think you just have a question in general. Go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you, Laura. Would you ask Senator Fukunaga and all the other senators, for that matter, to please not allow any more immigration incarceration centers to be placed in our community? That means all of Hawaii, please.
Thank you. I will do so.
Any other questions for Senator Fukunaga's office? All right. Thank you for coming. Oh, Karen has one. Go ahead, Karen.
Hi, Hector. Thank you. Since for the senator, I know there are 8 bills that have been introduced for Homeland Security in support of what Laura just said. And I think I can speak for a lot of other citizens that we'll be following those carefully and ask the senator to support those. Also, there are 2 on clean government, the same thing there, and 2 on state constitutional amendments. Again,
You know, I will leave my card. I would welcome.
Can you speak at the mic?
Emailing.
Hello.
I will welcome you emailing us your concerns. I'll be glad to take your questions, your concerns. I will leave my card with you, so you can provide us with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Hector. All right. Senator Moriwaki, thank you for coming. Want us to show your slideshow? Hold on, we can't hear you, Senator. Sorry.
Hello, hi, everyone. I'm Sharon
Hey.
Milwaukee, your district representative for some of you. I have a legislative report there, just generally. I think the governor's representative said the governor had his state of the state today. Last week, Wednesday, we opened the legislature. And this Wednesday, in a couple of days, will be the last day to introduce any bills. And we already have something like 1,900 in the Senate, so probably similar numbers in the House. So it's going to get crazy very soon. So what I wanted to do was just show you, based on what Morgan said I should do, some bills that we have. I'm a co-convener of what's called the Kupuna Caucus. These are made up of legislators who want to support, and the community who want to support our kupuna. We've got several bills. We can introduce 5 as part of what they call the Kupuna Caucus package. And so there's a family caregiver tax credit bill that we are pushing. I think this is the 3rd year. Again, family caregivers who are working, taking care of their dependent significant others, parents or grandparents. And we want to support them to be able to both make ends meet and support their dependents. The Kupuna Rent Supplement Program It's a pilot project that we started because we saw that the numbers of kupuna were growing among the homeless. And what happens there in fixed incomes, and so when the rent gets increased, they get on the street. So what we did was we had a pilot program and we gave $1 million to the Hawaii Public Housing Authority, and they contracted it out, I believe, to Catholic Charities to give rent supplement of up to $500 a month to kupuna who can help pay their rent and stay in their homes. It has been successful, so we are asking our colleagues to make it a permanent program. It was a 2-year program. It sunsets this year, which means it would die without us doing something. So we're making it permanent, and we're asking other legislators to support it. The other bill, I guess, there are 3 other bills. I'm not going to go really quickly, though. For many years, we've been trying to get support for hearing aids. Has not been too successful. So we have this year a state plan for hearing loss. I don't think that we see it as such a big problem, but for those who are losing their hearing is a very big problem and very expensive problem. And it is related to, synapses in your brain if you can't hear. So I think it's a real good preventive measure. So we have a plan for hearing loss. We also have dementia training. We've had voluntary training for first responders, but we're seeing more and more there are people with dementia or Alzheimer's in the community, and first responders don't know what to do to help them. So we have a bill for that, and then we are providing in-home health care and support services for those who don't qualify for other government services. So those are the package of bills for kupuna. Okay, now you can switch it to the next one. And I'm willing to answer any questions if you have any. So ghost gun parts, crime. Crime is big in our communities. So we had the ghost gun bill that passed. They can make ghost guns out of, Xeroxing. But what was a big problem and was a loophole was ghost gun parts. So they make copies of the parts. And so when the police nab them, they have a part. So they can't really arrest them because it's a part. So what this does, it says if you have a part, you still have to register it because part becomes part of a whole. And so what we're trying to do is make sure that we close all the loopholes. And so that's one. The second one is a bill that became law a couple years ago. It's called the Habitual Violent Crime Bill. And it has, and many of you have, some people have 30, 40 arrests, and they're habitual violent crime offenders. It may be accosting people, assaulting people, attacking a police officer. These are called misdemeanors. They're not at the level of you got to do something serious here. So what we did 2 years ago is that if you have 3 or more, and some people have 40 or 50, but 3 or more in a 5-year period, it would elevate that crime, that offense, to a felony C, which means now you have to go before the court because now this is serious. And so that's what we're trying to do, at least make this kind of law permanent so that we start protecting our community. So that's a crime bills. And noise. Of course, we live in an urban community. They say live with the noise, but we don't want to live with the noise. So the garbage trucks that come earlier than the city trucks, they start at 6 in the morning. We're saying these trucks shouldn't come at 4 or 3 or 2, which they do maybe more so in Waikiki than here, but they do. And so we're trying to have it regulated the same time that the city has their trucks, which is 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. At the noise camera tickets, we did pass a law before for noise cameras. We're still working on that, but it allows them to now ticket because they were testing it because they weren't sure whether and how effective these cameras were. So they're moving on to now giving you tickets for it. Is that it? Oh, Oh, and then there's other bills of notice. We have, as I said, 1,900 bills. We have e-bike regulations. Last year, we passed the e-bike. No, we didn't. We tried to pass the e-bike regulation bill, but it didn't pass because there was a flaw in it. And so we're trying to correct that. Mandatory salary and hourly wages. Right now, we don't know how much people will be paying for different jobs. We're requiring that they list it on the job listing so that a person doesn't go through the whole thing of, going through the interviews and everything, find out, oh, just pays that much? No, so that's what it is. And of course, I sit on the Ways and Means Committee, so I review the budget for the Senate. And I also am the vice chair of the Ways and Means Committee, which means I chair the Capital Improvement Projects Committee, which looks over all of the infrastructure, buildings, and such for the state. And I also sit on Government Operations and Labor and Technology Committee. So any questions you have on those, I can answer. Beyond that, maybe not.
Thank you, Senator Moriwaki. That was very comprehensive. Who has questions about Kapuna Caucus or the other bills that you heard of? Anyone? All right, John, go ahead.
Yes, I have a question about the hearing loss bill that you had mentioned. Is this going to cover just hearing aids, or does this extend to cochlear implants as well?
I think basically it's a plan because we don't have anything on hearing loss. So it's more of a, I think more broad, it's broader. It doesn't talk about, who's to be funding it, because I know we had a couple of times before we've had, you have to have a resolution to actually look at the cost of hearing aids and who pays for hearing aids. And those two did not pass. So what we're trying to do in this instance is look at a comprehensive plan of what is hearing loss, and then through that, perhaps getting to the point of how do we, should it be funded and how? I don't know if that answered your question, but if it didn't, you can ask again.
Are there any community member questions that we have? All right, go ahead, Karen.
Karen Lynn again. Just a quick question on it. You mentioned about the noise camera tickets bill and that it allows DOT to issue tickets. Is that something new? Was it only the police before and now Department of Transportation can issue tickets?
I believe that the cameras are there, but it goes to the enforcement would be through the counties. But but the bill itself is to install the cameras and then test the cameras. So I think execution would be at the county level. But if you give me your email address, I can send. Oh, yeah, you can give it to me.
All right, anyone else with questions for the senator? Okay, thank you so much for coming, Senator Moriwaki. It was great to have you here. All right, Representative Garrett, you're up next. I know you're online and you can go ahead and screen share. I think, Curtis, does he have permission to? Yeah, go ahead if you want to go, Rep Garrett.
I'm sorry, would it be possible for Curtis to share my screen? I kind of have a weird setup here at the moment.
No, we got you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Well, that's set up. Just want to thank you, Chair, for the opportunity to present. I know there's quite a few other legislators following me, so I'll try to keep this fairly brief. Hey, awesome. There we go. Okay.
All right. I think we're good to go.
Good to go. Okay, awesome. All right, again, just want to thank you, Chair, and everyone on the board and the community for being there this evening. Sorry I couldn't be there in person. I'm still here at the Capitol. I just wanted to provide some context. I do serve as the chair of the House Higher Education Committee. And in total, I'm going to introduce about 25 bills. It'll be 10 personal bills and 15 committee-related bills. But of the 25, just wanted to highlight three, again, respecting Chair Lee's request here, that I feel are pretty relevant to our neighborhood. So next slide, please. So the first bill here, and this bill doesn't have a bill number quite yet. I'm still finalizing it. As Senator Moriwaki mentioned, we have our deadline on Wednesday. So cutting down to the wire here. But the first bill is regarding facilities and student housing planning for UH. As you folks know, there's always been a demand side or supply side issue with housing at UH. There's wait lists every semester. But what happens here is that, this overflow ends up impacting all of our surrounding neighborhoods. It means, students can't find housing on campus as they should be entitled to. They come into Palolo, McCully, Mōʻiliʻili, Manoa, area surrounding UH essentially, and impacts the housing supply for renters and others as well too. So what this bill would require is the UH to come up with a long-term master plan for facilities and student housing, so we can try to address this issue. And basically the intent here is just to plan growth in a very responsible manner. Next slide, please. This second slide here. This is a healthcare workforce initiative. This bill, again, doesn't have a bill number, unfortunately, just yet, but I'll be sure to share this and others at the next meeting in February. So this bill expands healthcare workforce training throughout UH. We all know that healthcare shortages affect everybody, whether it means longer wait times, strain on the provider community, limited access for patients. So what this bill does is creates faculty positions at UH so we can increase the cohort sizes and expand our local training pipelines. And again, the goal of increasing access to healthcare throughout the state. The third bill I wanted to highlight, next slide, please. This is a personal bill, and some of you folks may have seen me on the news the other day, kind of embarrassing to be on, but I have a bill here in light of what happened to the Moanalua High School athletic director, where she was viciously assaulted doing her duties, walking the referees to their car after a very contentious game. This is an issue that's very personal for me. I umpire baseball and softball. I've seen firsthand what it's like nowadays with people thinking that they have a right to harass and abuse officials. What happened at Mauna Loa, I never thought it would happen here, but it clearly crossed the line. And, I have this bill that would increase the penalties for it, just to try to send a message here that, we're not going to tolerate this kind of behavior. Because if we do, if we don't do anything, then essentially it's the kids that are going to lose out. Because as you folks know, without any sports officials to officiate these games, there aren't going to be any games. And we're already seeing that impact today in the community where games are getting canceled or postponed because of the lack of officials. And lastly, just in closing, again, I just wanted to say, I'm happy to answer any questions tonight. You have a picture of my staff here. My office manager, Takemi, in the black. Kate is my legislative aide in the red there. Jimena is a UH intern that's spending about 30 hours a week in our office. And Ren is my committee clerk that's focusing on our higher ed issues. So we're always a phone call or email away if we can ever be of any assistance. So in the interest of time, I'll just stop there and see if there are any questions. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Representative Garrett. Does anyone have questions? All right, hold on, Laura, I see your question. I'm just trying to see if there's any other board people. All right, go ahead, Laura.
Okay, thank you, Representative. I just have one very strong concern about the new housing for UH students, and that it be done in appropriate locations. Right now, our campus is very strapped, very narrow, and there's threats to even close out the large open green spaces of the College of Ed area. There are other areas that are probably slated for redevelopment, the facilities and so forth in the Mauka side of campus. There can be some proposals for more dormitories in decent places where things are not crowded in. And I hope you put a sentence or two in the bill if you can to make sure, and certainly to get the whole community, especially the Manoa community, will be especially concerned about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Point well taken on that. So one of the challenges we have at the university is there are some inventory that's currently offline. If you folks are familiar with the lower campus, Hale Noelani, these are like the 2- and 3-story walk-ups that abut Manoa Stream. It's basically been shuttered since 2017, 2018 due to some health and safety issues. So that's about 500 units that have not been available to students for the last 7 or 8 years. I believe the plan is to essentially tear it down, demolish it. And there could be some towers that go in there and maybe add 2,000 or 3,000 units to the inventory. The challenge has been that, these obviously cost money. We're in a, very tight fiscal situation. And for the last 2 major housing projects, so UH has actually embarked on a public-private partnership where there's been no taxpayer funds up front. But the trade-off has been that it's privately built and operated, so the rents and lease payments tend to be higher than it would be at a UH dorm. So that's kind of the trade-off we're dealing with. But thank you, Laura, for the comment, because we do recognize, it is a pretty strapped campus in terms of space.
All right, go ahead, John.
Yes, I had a question. Is there any plans to increase faculty housing as well? Because that's been chronically short for quite some time, particularly 3-person or 3-bedroom units.
I don't believe the university has a plan right now for that. There's the Wahila apartments along Dole Street. Those are pretty dated. There's also some a little back further in the valley by Manoa Marketplace, but I know these are intended only to be a temporary situation for new faculty that come in. It's supposed to be for 2 or 3 years. There may be some unique cases where some are extended beyond that. But the part of the bill would be to set up this study. So not that we look just at student housing, but we look at all facilities on campus and including the needs for the faculty as well.
Rep. Garrett, I was just wondering if you could say a little bit about what the status quo is with regards to, I don't know, assaulting a umpire or referee, and how that's gone when it's, been tried to use as deterrence or so forth.
Yeah, so prior to a couple of years ago, well, actually my very first session, I co-sponsored a bill that increased the penalty of an assault against a sports official. Up until that point, it was just a misdemeanor. But what would happen is if you're a first-time offender, and you might have, say you assaulted a sports official, you probably weren't going to spend any jail time. You might have got a slap on the wrist, some community service. And I think that sends a wrong message to these sports officials that are sacrificing so much of their time. Obviously we don't do this for the money. We're just doing it to give back and make sure the kids have, so they can play their games. But we recognize that, bills don't prevent crimes per se. We're hoping that it'll serve as a deterrent. But by making it a felony, it does send a message that, it is a serious offense and that jail time is much more likely. There is still a lot of discretion when it comes to judges with their sentencing of these cases. There are times where there are plea bargains where they might plead guilty to a lesser charge, again, with no jail time. And we don't think that sends the wrong message. Like, just to be honest, in the Moanalua High School case, there's a very good chance that the defendant's not going to spend any jail time. And if you think about someone, 3 times the size of the athletic director and that vicious assault, and the fact that he might not serve any jail time at all, I mean, that's just, I know our jails are overcrowded, but that just sends the wrong message. And you're going to probably see more people leave the profession of refereeing and umpiring because of it. So what we're trying to do is send the message that we're not going to tolerate it. And if people feel the need to continue on this path, they should expect to serve jail time.
All right. Any other questions for Representative Garrett? All right. Well, thank you so much for you and your staff for making that great presentation, and I'm glad you could join. We appreciate it. Rep. Olds, whenever you want to come in.
Thank you, everyone.
Oh, we can pull your slideshow up too. We are pulling up the slideshow. Too late.
I apologize. Oh, look at that. Oh, man. Good evening, board. Good evening, everybody. Representative Kaiko Olds, House District 23. I'm going to try to keep this quick so that we don't have to look at my super exciting slides here. So we're just going to talk about 3.
And what committee you're on? Or
it's on here.
It is? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll start with the committees first. So I am the Vice Chair of Human Services and Homelessness. I'm also on the House Committee for Health, Education, and Higher Education. I don't know if this is the first one, but I apologize. So we for our clean fresh waterways, we just got the bill number today, so it was a little late to put it into the slides.
Wait, do you want us to do safe entryways or clean waterways?
So we'll start with safe entranceways. So safe entranceways is just a reintroduction and edit of a bill that we introduced last session. And what we did was we worked with the Judiciary Chair to get language that would be able to accomplish what we're trying to set out, but also make it a little bit more humane and not criminalize homelessness. I think that was an important piece. So for this bill, essentially what it does is it puts a bubble in front of entranceways that you cannot domicile or store personal items on public property. So for example, along King Street, there's a lot of businesses that have doorways that open directly onto public property or open inways into the business, but the property line is right in front of their door. And so what ends up happening is if someone is sleeping or domiciling in front of a business, it becomes a battle of are you allowed to be there? And as long as the door is able to open, it satisfies the fire code, and then it's not a problem. So what this will be able to do, it will be able to help HPD enforce basically a 10-foot bubble around certain doorways that are immediately adjacent to public property. It doesn't move anyone from a sidewalk. It doesn't, it's basically just creating a bubble so that way you're not storing your stuff or you're not sleeping inside of a doorway that enters into a business or a residence. Next slide. Okay, so the Safe Bus Stops is essentially the same platform. It's a reintroduction of a bill that we introduced last year. Again, the same language and the same process applied to this. The bubble still remains. For this case is a 20-foot bubble from the bus stop. And what it allows is it's about safety. It's about ease of access for people to get on and off of a bus and to be able to wait safely at a designated bus stop. And the specific language is the intent to use transportation services. Again, it doesn't chase anyone off of the sidewalk. It doesn't chase anyone out of the immediate area, but it does provide a little bit of a bubble space that particularly Kapuna have access to the sheltered bus stops and they don't have to wait in the sun. This bill was directly created off of a Kapuna that lives around the corner. Caught her standing with her walker in the middle of the day out in the sun because there was a gentleman who decided to take up the entire bus stop with his residents. This bill and the previous bill, the Safe Entranceways bill, it's tiered. So there's different levels to these bills. It starts with just a warning. So HPD is supposed to come out, not make any assumptions, give the individual an opportunity to move, and then it scales up. If the HPD has to come back again, they can issue a citation, again, allowing people the time to move. If the person's still not obeying, they can get a citation one more time. And on the fourth infraction, the city and county can engage in the process of sweeping. So again, we're not trying to criminalize homelessness, but we want to have certain safe spaces for the public to be able to have access in and out of things in bus stops and in stores. And this one is 20 feet. Next, please. The Clean Fresh Waterways. So this bill is just came out today for a number. So it's HB 1956. So this is actually an environmental bill. And what it does is it bans or prohibits domiciling or storing personal property in, on, or immediately around fresh waterways that lead to the ocean. So this was born when I was campaigning in 2024. We had to pull 6 mopeds out from under the Date Street Bridge of the Palolo Stream. Every single moped had gas in the tank, lubricants, and oil. So what's happening is it's getting unabated straight into the ocean. In addition to a lot of the trash that's produced naturally by people residing in that space. So this is to help keep our oceans clean, to keep our waterways clean. And again, this provides language that also says 50 feet from the water line or the embankment, the berm, or essentially where things could fall into a water line. So for example, right here at the McCully Stream, it's an improved waterway. So there's concrete, there's walls with concrete at the bottom versus the Palolo Stream is unimproved, so it's all dirt. So for the Palolo Stream, the 50 feet would actually start from the beginning of the slants of the berms leading into the ocean. Again, we're not trying to criminalize homelessness. So the same 4-step procedure that we did for the safe entranceways and the safe bus stops applies for this. Warning, giving people time, the opportunity to move, citation, giving people the opportunity to move, a second citation, and then initiating the sweep procedure for the space. These were my 3 spicy bills. I have nice bills. I'm not trying to criminalize homelessness, but this is a big issue that was happening in our district. And these are in response to constituents bringing up these issues. And hopefully we were able to pass it. And this has the blessing of Chair Tarnas. And so we got into a space that was at least pretty nice, a nice balance between enforcement and allowing people the ability to be able to live until they're able to improve their situation.
All right. Thank you so much, Representative Olds. Who has questions about this? Anyone on the board? All right, go ahead, Chris.
Are these 3 bills assigned to finance? Is it going to have a financial component to it to be able to pay for the sweep if it gets to that part? Or
so no, because the sweep would be the city and county of Honolulu. These are just statute bills. There's no money allocation. So that the advice from the finance chair, from the fin chair this year was statute bills. Try not to have bills with money allocations because, as everybody knows, we are broke. So we did a bunch of statute bills. This wouldn't allocate any money for the City County Honolulu to be able to enforce any more than already does. It just puts language there that doesn't exist currently.
Do you foresee any problems if these citations start popping up more, or just to a number where you would have to do sweeps if it got to that point, and then not having funding to have the sweeps happen?
So, I mean, in truth, giving citations to the homeless is a really bad plan. Civil Beat actually just had an article a few months ago that details how it doesn't really work. It ends up causing a lot more problems, and a lot of these citations get thrown out anyway. But because we can't have any more punitive measures, and citations was kind of the agreement of where we would be, making it a violation at least puts these things in the statutes, because currently HPD just says we can't do anything. And to a concerned resident or to a kapuna waiting at a bus stop in the sun, that's not what they're going to want to hear. Hopefully we can couple this with more supportive services, so that way, you know, they're being inconvenienced. We just did the point in time survey this morning. I don't see any faces that were out this today, but
Gonna tell people what that is?
the point in time survey is an annual survey that we conduct to get basically a photograph of the homeless population and statistics once a year. And what that does is it allows us to get better perspective of what's currently going on, and allows us to get federal funding to help support the issue. And we just did it this morning, and it was a good time before it rained. But again, we don't want to criminalize homelessness, but we have to have that balance.
All right, go ahead, Daniela.
Excellent bill, this one of Freshwater. How about the other form of, how do you take care of the pollution once the water has become polluted, and of debris? How could that be taken care by another bill?
Ooh, okay, that's another bill, and that would guarantee require an appropriation. So I only had one bill that actually asked for money. It is a vulnerable youth housing stabilization fund. That was my one ask. So that would require a little bit more money, but that would be very important. And what we had last session, I believe it was Senator Moriwaki who introduced it, was, you know, we need to have the legislature allocate the funds to help support this. And you know, she was able to see all the damage from that runoff, and was trying to move to help address it. But you know, hopefully the senator will be able to get that bill across the finish line soon. It's very important.
Gail Ohalani.
Yes, thank you, Representative. Just a comment, whether it's also for the community. I really appreciate the waterway bill that you're pushing for, more than just because of, you know, the potential of really just to malama our waters. And for those of us who don't know, Mōʻiliʻili, as well as Waikiki, was like a lot of water, and the water is still there. Some of the names, just to bring it into this conversation, is the Kumalai Spring, which is where the Willows is. There's also the Alanayo. There's the Kapunaho. And so beyond just, you know, prohibiting personal property being in there, I think this is a great step in the direction of just taking care of our space. So yeah, thank you.
All right, go ahead,
One comment, since we have heard a few times that there's no money for us to do things, maybe we should consider rolling back those big tax breaks that we gave recently. So because we need more money to pay for things, and just putting statutes to criminalize behavior does not pay for really needed services. So let's consider walking back those tax breaks. We clearly need the money.
It's a fantastic idea.
Go ahead, Laura. John, I'll get to you after this.
Laura Rabigan. Thank you. Yeah, just again, trying not to talk about the money involved, but when they did clean up the Kapiolani Bridge, it took many huge dumpsters to get things out. And also at the time, they did not repair the chain link fence, which allows all of that loads of stuff to come down into the bridge. It would be helpful if, in collaboration, I know Makiki Stream has the same problem too. It's simply that chain link fence and things were there to, let's say, lessen the number of things going down into the stream. If there's no money, I think there's enough money to fix some of the chain link fence. So thank you.
All right. Do you want to respond to that, Reynolds?
I don't want to say the wrong name, but Laura, you're talking about the Houston Gulch because I forgot the Hawaiian name. The Houston Gulch. Is that what the? But is that the waterway you're talking about? Oh, okay. Right. Okay. Yeah. Yes, I agree. The fences should be there.
All right, Laura, we can't hear you, FYI. All right, we still can't hear you. All right, go ahead, John.
Yes, I had a question for Representative Owens. I wanted to know if you had any plans to extend something, well, not extend, but look at bills relating to parks and public spaces that are also we're kind of losing access to due to homeless issues. That's my question. Too spicy?
Okay. I'm really not trying to criminalize homelessness. If you don't know my background, the previous 10 years I was working, with homeless clients, trying to improve their situation. So making their life harder is not something that I intrinsically want to do. And we have to find the balance. And sadly, if we start chasing people out of the parks and out of the sidewalks and out of the streams and out of the bus stops and out of the doorways, where are they going to go? And as a former service provider, one of the big issues that I used to have, particularly with sweeping, was once one of my clients were situated in a space, we want to have the regularity to be able to find them in case there's an important appointment or if there's paperwork that we need to bring to them. So again, balancing it out. Yes, I mean, I would love the public spaces the parks to be entirely clear. My kids were actually attacked by one of my former clients' dogs at Old Stadium Park, but that were off leash. But again, if we chase them off, where are they going to go? And right now, if we took all the houseless people out of the community and try to put them in the shelters, we don't even have the beds. So we need to continue on that end. And on the state side, through the Kahale projects, we are building the beds and we're building the spaces with client-centered focus. And then on the other side, we can slowly start trying to take back some of our public spaces. But again, we have to balance it. And as of right now, I'm not ready to try to push any legislation to push people out of parks, although there is a lot of complaints that do come up about that. And we'll try to work on that later.
My concern is particularly that as you pass those other rules, as you move them out of the areas away from the waterways, as you move them from the bus stops and everywhere else, I'm going to see them in my backyard. And I already have probably 15 to 20 people in my backyard right now with dogs off leash that stay off leash. We have criminal enterprise with Chop Shop going on back there. At night, you can see the saws going as they actually physically cut things in the back. This goes on all the time, and I'm just wondering, it's only gotten worse. At the beginning of the year, it just really got worse, and I've been told because of sweeps in other areas, it's really exacerbated the problem here. So I'm wondering, as you do introduce these, if they do take, if they do take root, then I'm going to see an increase of people that are exacerbating the problems here. I'm in one building. There's several buildings that surround the park that I'm referring to, and there are a lot of families here, small kids that can't sleep through the night because they're dealing with issues. We get woke up all throughout the night. It's my kids have insomnia just about because of this. It's not fair, to us that pay rent to have to put up with the lifestyles of people that choose to live nearby. And I don't mean to criminalize homelessness whatsoever. I do have sympathy for people that have financial issues and everything. We have criminality that's going on, and that really is the source of a lot of the problems that we have here. The drugs, you can walk in the park. Not many people use it as a dog park anymore. We have people that are down there. You'll find syringes, you'll find all kinds of waste just left everywhere. People using the bathroom in the park. The water's been out for the longest time. The lights don't work there, even though they use that as the excuse for leaving it open later at night. So I'm just wondering, we've got a festering sore just behind us, and it looks like the bills that you're talking about, which I actually love. I love the ideas that you have there. I do, but I just think that's going to exacerbate the problem that we have here already. So I was wondering if there was any plan to, look at the effects of what you're about to do on the rest of us too. And that's all. But I do thank you for all of your work there. I really do. Thank you.
Rebels, did you want to respond or you want to go to Daniela?
I mean, I agree, and I'm not sure. It sounds like you might be talking about Colo Place. That's the only dog park I can think of in the area outside of maybe Alloway Park. But I mean,
That's
yeah, it's I mean, my wife and I used to live right at Colo Place or Grand 7-Eleven for a long time. I know what you're talking about. That it can be kind of seedy in that space, but criminality is one thing. Someone being homeless is another, and it's hard. Yes, it's hard to differentiate between the two because sometimes those behaviors overlap. And we just got to try to keep moving forward without turning into making it too crazy and putting a whole bunch of homeless people in jail.
All right, go ahead, Daniela.
This is a comment. I really appreciate your bills and also the bills of Senator Moriarty and all the other senators. I truly appreciate and I understand what you're doing. And again, I see that the problems are addressed at the very end, not at the source, which is low wage and many other more structural problems. So I am much appreciative of what you do, and it's still something very important, but we forget that the source is a big structural problem that has to do with the rent control, legislation, taxation. Sorry, I had to say this. Thank you.
All right, go ahead, Betsy.
Good evening. And can you hear me?
Pull the mic down a little bit more.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay, great. Good evening, and thank you very much. And I appreciate Ikaika Old's bill and I'm very much in supportive of this because I am a resident of a building that has been affected by the bus stop issues. And also, we live close to the Makiki Stream right by Jack in the Box. So, between Ian Ross of Makiki and myself, and several of the people assisting prior to being here, we created the resolution on the Makiki Stream, which basically prohibits people from living there. And so basically in terms of harmonization with our small micro neighborhood between Kalakaua Sands and 1670 Kalakaua and Jack in the Box, we really appreciate this. And one of the other things that I really wanted to discuss is when there's going to be a discussion with the Department of Transportation or with the mayor's representative later on this evening, I wanted to bring up the possibilities of changing the seats out to some of the bus stops. Now, one of the reasons is that, as Ikaika has quite eloquently explained, he doesn't mean to criminalize nor to severely marginalize the homeless. On the other hand, we need to pay attention to the safety and the ridership of the bus stops. So, I would like to gently try to propose re-examining the seat types at our bus stops and change it out to a more modern one. My last point is that, I understand that there was a audit done on CORE, basically because CORE's initial assumption was to not only to intervene with the mental health issues of the homeless, but also
30 seconds.
to try to encourage them to find housing and intervention in a helpful way. I'd like to find out more from Ikaika or anyone, how was the audit of CORE approach and has there been any improvement in their strategies going forward? Thank you.
I don't have the core audit information, but I can ask and try to see if we can get it.
All right. Anyone else have any questions for Rep. Olds or comments? Thank you much for coming. We appreciate it. All right. The next on here is Representative Tam, who I think is on the call. If not, I think that Flora maybe. Anyone from? Yeah,
Yes,
Flora.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. And do you want to share your screen or do you want Curtis to share?
Can you play it on your end, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
All right, one moment. He's just sharing it and then you can.
Problem.
All right, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm here for Rep. Tam tonight. He is at another community event. So we are District 24, Waikiki, and we have just a little section of Mōʻiliʻili. Sorry, my we put McCully in there, but we're really just Mōʻiliʻili. Rep. Tam is the chair of the tourism committee, and our hearings are on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 8:30 a.m. to 12 noon in room 432 at the Hawaii State Capitol. He also sits as a member on the Consumer Protection and Commerce Committee and also the Economic Development and Technology Committees. Next slide, please. So now I'll just talk about, Morgan asked us to just share 3 bills that are of relevance to this neighborhood board. So the first one is a new angle on short-term rental enforcement. So as I think most people know, short-term rentals have been an issue, maybe not as much on this side of the district, but for sure on the other side of the district. So this is just a new avenue to try to actually have them enforced. So it would allow banks and lenders to foreclose on properties that are illegally renting them out for short-term rentals. And then this bill also introduces this issue to be part of the Hawaii Tourism Authority's purview. So this would mean that regulating short-term rentals will now fall under part of destination management, which is the way that the state is managing like high traffic sites or traffic impacted areas. And I'll have another announcement about that, but let's go through this slideshow first. So next slide. So the second bill that Rep. Tam really wanted to highlight was this Hawaii Dementia Initiative Business Recognition Program. And this is a bill that would create a program for businesses to get trained and then sort of like certified to be dementia friendly businesses. So I don't know if many of you have relatives who have dementia or how many folks here have had experiences with aging family members or just interacting with folks who have dementia, but this is near and dear to my heart. Both of my grandmothers have had dementia, and it really alters the way that older folks can communicate and behave. And so this would give a framework for businesses specifically to operate with compassion and be able to service folks who are experiencing dementia. Like a lot of times, oftentimes folks with dementia experience like more confusion. Sometimes it takes them longer to like do things like order off of a menu, or sometimes people get disoriented. And so it would give businesses training to be able to help patrons who need assistance. So we think this is a great initiative to especially help our kupuna. As many of you know, our kupuna is a huge part of our community, and also we have a big aging population here in Hawaii. So that's one that's like near and dear to my heart, but also I think representative also thinks is a great initiative to support our community. And the third bill, which Senator Moriwaki already talked a little bit about, is this bill, HB 1588, which would make the noise detection camera program permanent. Currently, the noise detection cameras that are in a pilot program all over this county, they're just collecting data. There's no enforcement or fines being issued. So this would allow the cameras to, one, become permanent, and then two, to issue citations and fines to folks who have modified mufflers, etc., really loud music. So we're really hopeful that this is going to pass. We should have some reports soon with the current data that's being collected that we'll hopefully share with you at the next neighborhood board meeting when it becomes available. And then just I think we have a last slide here somewhere. So this is all of our Rep Tam's contact information. We're room 402 at the Capitol. You can email him, reptam@capitol.hawaii.gov. You can call us at the number listed below. And now, actually, big announcement: our office can take phone text messages to our fax number, which is listed here, 808-586-8524. But the really exciting thing about this is that we can receive pictures. So a lot of times people will call in, they'll be like, can I text you a picture? And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, this is a landline, I can't receive text messages. But now actually you can text us a picture. So if there's an issue that you want us to be aware of, you can text us about it and include a picture. I believe we can also receive video messages. So we can now receive videos and text messages and photos. So that's really exciting. I hope people will take advantage of that. That's really helpful for us, especially if you're reporting an issue. We can see it and then forward it to the appropriate agency. And then just to close, looping back around about tourism, the Hawaii Tourism Authority is going to be opening up public input sessions for the next round of destination management action plans. And so this is really important because this is your opportunity as communities, residents, to give your feedback about how tourism is impacting your neighborhood or your place of work, or just your feelings about tourism in general. We're waiting on, so there's going to be like an online survey where you can submit your, comments, your thoughts. It's going to be really helpful if you're really specific about your feedback, like, maybe people are upset, like if you feel like the traffic on Waiola Street is really heavy because lots of tourists are going to get shave ice or something like that, you're welcome to report sort of things like that. That's the example I could think of in our district this meeting. But things like that, like for example, one example is like Diamond Head. You all know how that is managed now. There's a reservation system. It helps the state and the tourism authority develop better management plans so that we as residents can improve our quality of life. And because we're all tax-paying citizens. So that's going to be really important. So there's going to be an online survey, and then there are going to be in-person meetings statewide, and our office will send out all of that information as soon as we receive it. And we'll also probably be sending out some reminder emails as the different due dates come up, because we really want folks to fill out this survey. And it's a data collection point. So the more people who complete it, the better the state is going to be able to manage tourism and hopefully improve our quality of life. So I can take
Thank you, Flora.
I can answer any questions right now, but I can also take questions back to the representative.
All right, who has questions for Flora? Anyone here on the board? Or anyone in the public? All right, go ahead, Karen.
Karen Lynn, I'm one of your constituents on this side of the canal. And I had written to Representative Tam a couple times about this. But since he's a member of the CPC, I just wanted to remind him of all there are quite a number of condo-related House bills this legislative session, and a lot of them have recycled a number of years. And if he could help us take a close look at them this year and maybe get some of them passed, that would be appreciated. Thank you.
Sure thing. Yeah, Representative Tam, as you all know, is also a condo resident, so that's a subject that he is very invested in. We do have one condo related bill that we've introduced. It would expand it codifies a Supreme Court ruling making condo documents available to you at no cost from a downloadable site. So electronic copies available to residents at no cost. And so it codifies this Hawaii Supreme Court case. And then we added a couple more additional documents at the request of another constituent. So that's one bill that we are introducing this year related to condos, but we should see shortly the rest of the bills, that'll be about condos.
All right, Kayla Holani is wondering if we can turn the in-person camera on. Okay. I don't know. Kayla Holani, if you're still having trouble seeing us, just let us know because the camera should be on. Daryl, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I received in the mail like a postcard about the handy numbers from Representative Tam, and there was a section that I wanted to ask you a question. It says Honolulu 311 mobile app for City and County to report, things, potholes, broken street lights. When you say when it says broken streetlights, I want to know if it pertains to also the light poles in the parks and stuff, or is it something different?
Yes. Are you speaking about the light posts that are out at the Alawai Park?
Yes, the promenade.
Yes, that's on our radar. I have emailed. That's on our radar. I'm working on it.
Oh, okay, okay. So yeah,
Thank
because
you.
I was going to speak to Representative Nishimoto people too also.
Yes.
Oh, or City County.
Yes. I mean, you should also
Daryl.
email them. But
Y-
yeah, thanks, Taylor.
Yes. Yeah, we have that on our radar. We've put it in actually a couple times and they keep fixing it and then it keeps going out. I think you've noticed it be fixed in the past, but yes, we do have it on our radar. We just put in another request. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Thanks,
because yeah,
Taylor.
Morgan and I yeah noticed it, right, Morgan?
Yep. We see
Okay,
it.
thank you,
All
Thanks,
right.
Taylor.
thank you.
Thank you very much for presenting on this, Flora. Yeah, we appreciate you giving this presentation. Let's go ahead and move on during the meeting. We're going to move on to board business and presentations. Just have approval of regular meeting written summary for the video recording, aka the minutes. Go ahead. Addenda has edits.
Because people haven't seen it on the Google Drive, let's postpone this to the next meeting.
We will look at the November edits in February's meeting. All right, DTS is going to come up and give a presentation now on Safe Streets and Roads for All Phase 1 Walkways Project. So we can go ahead and pull up your presentation. You want to start and introduce yourself? That'd be great.
Aloha, my name is Kaylin Bukalov. I am a planner with the Complete Streets team at the City and County of Honolulu Department. Oh, yep, let me have this. I'm a planner on the Complete Streets team at the City and County of Honolulu's Department of Transportation Services. I'm also joined tonight by Renee Espiau, our Complete Streets administrator. And today we're going to talk about our Date Street and McCully Neighborhood Walkways project. But first I'm going to go through what Complete Streets are and why we do this work. So Complete Streets is a transportation design approach that provides safe facilities for people of all ages and abilities, whether they're walking, using a wheelchair, on a bike, in a car, or riding transit. And so this graphic on the bottom right kind of depicts what a complete street can look like in more of an urban or commercial area, but there's not a one-size fits all solution. It's going to look very different depending on the context of the street, the purpose of that road, the type of neighborhood. And the city does have a Complete Streets law that was passed back in 2012. Basically, it states that every time the city touches a transportation facility, whether it's a small scale maintenance project or a larger scale construction project, they shall implement Complete Streets features as part of that project. And the reasons why we do this type of work is in these design principles for the health and safety of our communities, to provide more equitable communities across the island, for economic and affordability reasons, to provide more transportation options and choices for people, and also for the environmental impact and sustainability reasons. To provide a bit of background on our Walkways program, so the Complete Streets office developed this program to design and construct the high priority walkways recommended in the Oahu pedestrian plan, which was adopted in 2022. Phase 1 of the program includes projects in 6 different areas across the island, including Waianae, Kalihi, Wahiwa, Waipahu, McCully, and Date Street. These 2 projects I'll talk about tonight. And these sidewalk gaps in these neighborhoods were prioritized based on an analysis of a bunch of different factors, but it included their proximity to schools, their crash history, whether they were on bus routes, if they were on major streets, or on streets connecting to neighborhood destinations like parks or recreation centers, and then prioritize based on that. The program will use federal funding as well, 80% and 20% local funding. We know that sidewalks have been needed across the island for a long, long time, but there's never been dedicated funding for them. And so we're very excited to finally establish this funding source for them. And so I'll start with our McCully Walkways project. This is the project area. We kind of are in it right now, but it's bordered by McCully Street, Kapiolani Boulevard on the bottom, Kalakaua Avenue on the left side of the screen, and then King Street on the top. It includes both Washington Middle School streets and Lunalilo Elementary School. And so this is the list of all of them. Major streets like Hau'oli, Pumahana, Waiola, Nanea, Fern, Lime, parts of Date Street, and Punahou. So combined, there are about 900. Oh, yep. Sorry, Kapiolani is on the bottom of the screen there. Yep. And then King Street on the top. There are about 900 students combined at these 2 schools. We know that in this neighborhood, there are around 3,500 residents. 76% of residents own 1 car or 0 cars, so much higher than the rest of the island. And 1/3 of residents commute by walking, biking, or the bus. So there's a lot of need for pedestrian infrastructure here, but not a lot of sidewalks right now. And moving on, switching gears to the Date Street Walkway project, the extent of this project. So this is Date Street. On the left side is Kapiolani Boulevard, and on the right is Kapahulu Avenue. This area has 2 different schools, Kamuki High School and Iolani School. They have a combined enrollment of about 3,000 students. We also have bike counters out on the shared use path that exists there right now, lining the golf course. And on average, last year in 2025, on an average weekday, there are about 230 bicyclists. There are also 13 bus stops along this stretch. It serves the Route 3, and there are 150 trips per day that it takes. And we saw 920 boardings and alightings per day. So 920 people getting on and off at those 13 bus stops per day. So a lot of transit ridership here too. Some safety concerns that we see in both of these areas are the missing and inaccessible sidewalks. There are also obstructed pathways, like these examples of cars parking in the unimproved sidewalk. This can be dangerous because it pushes pedestrians out into the roadway with moving traffic instead of on the unimproved sidewalk. In the McCully neighborhood streets, we saw a lot of illegal parking. We did a parking study at 3 different points in time, and we saw illegal parking during all of these periods. So the top left shows legal parking. That one's good. That one's okay. The top right shows illegal on-street parking. So this car is parked really close to a marked crosswalk, making it dangerous for pedestrians to cross. They're not as visible to drivers. Number 3 and number 4 show parallel and perpendicular parking on the unimproved shoulder. So again, this forces pedestrians walking in that area out onto the street. So we know there's a need for safe and accessible routes for all users and modes of transportation. We know people are biking along the Date Street bike path, but they get to a section of road where the bike path stops and they're forced, like these 2 people on Beakies, into the road. And in the McCully neighborhood, there are people using scooters, like in this photo, e-bikes, bikes, all different modes. We also saw missing curb ramps, like these examples. So without curb ramps, a person pushing a stroller or in a wheelchair isn't able to get up onto a sidewalk or an unimproved sidewalk in order to get out of the way of traffic. Other concerns are the lack of marked crosswalks, as well as cars not stopping for pedestrians at crosswalks. We saw this couple when we were out walking Date Street, and it took them almost a minute probably to be able to actually cross the street because so many cars were flying by, they were speeding, the people weren't visible to them, or they didn't have enough time to stop because they were going so fast. So improving these crosswalks too is an important part of this project. And on Date Street specifically, we have seen speeding. The highest speeds we saw, the 85th percentile was 38 miles per hour. So that means that 15% of cars were going 38 miles per hour or more in that area. The speed limit right now is 35 miles per hour in that stretch and 25 miles per hour during school hours on the left side stretch. And as an interim measure, the city is going to reduce the speed limit along the 35 mile per hour stretch to 25 and the 25 mile per hour section down to 20. There was an ordinance that was passed last fall to reduce the school zone speed limits from 25 miles per hour to 20. And so as part of this interim improvement, we want to make sure to swap those school zone signs out too. So this is a map that highlights the crashes in the McCully neighborhood project streets. It's a heat map, and so you can see that the higher density of crashes are at the major intersections along Kapiolani Boulevard at the bottom, McCully Street on the right-hand side, and King Street on the top. The total crashes in the area were 239, and the number of injuries from those crashes were 173. For the Date Street crashes, we saw 140 crashes, and this data was taken, between 2015 and 2022. So in total, there were 140 crashes, and of those, 97 injuries. We also saw that 91% of crashes involving pedestrians, bicyclists, mopeds, and motorcycles on this corridor resulted in injuries compared to 53% of motor vehicles involved in these crashes. So we know that these modes of transportation are more vulnerable than others and result in a higher percentage of injuries. The higher density areas for crashes were at Kapiolani Boulevard, Mahiai Street, and Kapahulu Avenue. And so creating safer streets for all users, there's kind of two different pieces to this. The first is providing dedicated and protected facilities for non-vehicular travel. So this can come in the form of sidewalks or bike lanes, a space that is separated from moving traffic for those modes. And number two,
Can we try and wrap it up in about 90 seconds? And then I know you have several more slides, but maybe get into timeline and then people can ask questions.
Okay, sure. Yeah. So the second is limiting opportunities for speeding. So we can move through. So some potential improvements we're looking at are concrete sidewalks, shared use path extension for Date Street. So extending the existing path from the bridge to Kapiolani Boulevard by widening the sidewalk there. We're looking at landscape buffers and tree plantings. Marking crosswalks, installing curb ramps, adding bus stop amenities like shelters and seating. Curb extensions to shorten the distance for pedestrians crossing at crosswalks and pedestrian refuge islands. And so these are the concepts for the McCully neighborhood streets. Generally, we're looking to install sidewalks on both sides of the streets for all of the streets that are in our project extents. There's already a curb and gutter along most of these streets, and that really helps streamline the process and also reduces the cost in installing sidewalks. And moving on to Date Street, these are our concepts. We're looking to, as I mentioned, widen the sidewalk on the Mackay side into a shared use path, filling in the sidewalk gaps on the Mauka side of the streets, and installing some pedestrian refuge islands at the uncontrolled crosswalks and curb extensions on certain intersections as well. And so we do have a community meeting coming up next week on Thursday, February 5th from 6 to 8 p.m. at Kaimuki High School cafeteria. Please come, please invite your neighbors and constituents. We're going to go through those concepts in a lot more detail than I just did. We're going to get the community's feedback. We'll have polling sessions and then also a workshop component at the end where we can talk more one-on-one with the project team. Okay.
Thank you very much, Kaylin. All right, that was very comprehensive and interesting. Who has questions for her? All right, go ahead, Daniela.
And what is planned for the McCully Street, the section that goes from Kapiolani to Kalakaua? Goes over the bridge on Alawai Canal. What is planned for that?
For McCully Streets, that is not part of this project that I'm on.
Okay.
I don't know, Renee, do you know about that project?
So the current plan for McCully on the website, or is that part of Alawai Boulevard? We have looked at that stretch, and we unfortunately cannot do much beyond what's sort of out there now. So we do have the plan online. We can find it, send it to you guys. But honestly, it's not too much different than what's there, except the relationship between the bike lane and the right turn lane. We were able to make some small improvements in the layout, but not as much as I know the board would like.
And are there technical aspects that prevent to do some? And is there a study about what can be done, and or even if something could be done?
Yeah, we can send you the information that we looked at. The technical thing is there is a lot of traffic leaving Waikiki, right? And so we are kind of set with the number of traffic lanes that we have out there. We don't have a lot of opportunity to reduce traffic lanes. And so unfortunately, there's just not a lot of space left over for other things. So I can send you the details on that. I have read your resolution.
Sorry, Renee, I know this is kind of sidetracking when we're talking about, but how come they can't bring down the wall that's in the park and make some of that sidewalk space, especially because like it's very walked over already where the lawn is?
So you're talking about, it's a structure, it's a bridge. And so you cannot just do anything to a bridge. One, it's historic. Two, it has certain structural elements to it. So we can look at like specific small
Like the parts of the park, I'm thinking when it.
Yeah, if there's small fixes that, we can ask our DDC structural engineers to look at. For example, like the proposal along Alawai to do the bike facility there, we had to kind of cut a corner and they were able to do the load calculations and determine, yes, you can do this. But like full cross section changes, we've already looked at and don't see much opportunity. But if you have specific spot improvements, we can consider those.
All right, Drew, did you have a question?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
One quick question. On McCully, it is a major thoroughfare from Waikiki to the freeway. Would it be possible to look at like timing the lights or doing some kind of technology to help cars get through that section smarter, I guess?
So currently the east-west corridors have the signal priority. So King Street, Baratania Street, Kapiolani, that's generally why you're not seeing amazing traffic progression on McCully because the priority is given to the main lines. So we can put in a request, but typically the reason why is because there are larger streets that are moving more vehicles that get the priority. That said, we did have a previous Complete Streets project looking at McCully, and years ago when I first came into this position, we actually were considering reducing the number of travel lanes. We have decided not to do that. We're going to keep it at 4 and hopefully make some kind of parallel improvements through the neighborhood. But at least the number of travel lanes are set if there's limited opportunity to change the light sequencing.
All right, Daniela and then Chris.
Yes. Is that a matter of budget? Costly, but technologically speaking, a bridge can be enlarged. In fact, you could almost extend the structure of the existing bridge in a cantilevered way, or with support, with the column support, and you can enlarge a bridge. So unless it's a matter of budget, technologically speaking, it's possible.
Yeah, but it's also a very old bridge. So there's not a, there's a lot of considerations. So
Yes,
yep.
even with an old bridge,
We would love to
technologically,
find
yeah.
solutions to improve that. We're also, of course, building another crossing, the Alawai Bridge, which is an important consideration in this conversation because there is such limited potential on the McCully Street.
All right, Daniela, I'm gonna give it to Chris because we have 3 other people that want to say. Go ahead.
I think 2 quick questions. One, when after these meetings, when do you envision groundbreaking on the sidewalks and the Date Street improvements? And then also, if I or the people here have random ideas that we want to throw your way, what's the best way to get them to you?
Yeah, so for this project, we will be in design until 2028. And so looking to bid out for construction 2029, start construction then. And if you have any suggestions, feedback, you can always email us at our email I had up there. It's completestreets@honolulu.gov. Or come to our community meeting if you can, but we're always open. We'll have a feedback period after the community meeting for about a month or so, and then we'll take the feedback that we hear and work on revising the plans.
All right, Daisy.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the presentation. You also did it at the Neighborhood Board 5. My question would be, maybe perhaps Renee might be able to answer. Date Street already has a bike pathway and pedestrian walkway on the golf course side. So are you thinking about only structuring on the Mauka side, which is by Kamiki High School side, which has unimproved sidewalks? And if so, are you thinking of doing any bikeway pathways such as Sherrill's, or are you thinking of a protected bicycle way, because that would take up extra room for people going in and out of that busy corridor? So these questions are never answered, or I don't know if, I hope it was taken into consideration because it affects the neighborhood. And are you thinking about also maybe by the condominium cross the bridge on the Mauka side, Makai side, because that might also impede people and bicyclists? I have, as you know, that's one of the
Daisy, I
main
think we have to go
corridors.
get the answer now. Sorry, we just have a lot
Okay,
happening tonight.
appreciate it. If anything to do with bicycle lanes, because if you do the
Hold on,
Mauka
Caitlin's gonna
side-
answer now.
Thanks,
Okay, thank
Daisy.
you.
We're not looking at constructing any protected bike lanes in the road. We're just looking at widening the existing sidewalk on the Mauka side to turn it into a multi-use path for both bikes and pedestrians. And then, sorry, on the Makai side. And then on the Mauka side, we're looking to fill in the sidewalk gaps and install sidewalks where they're currently missing.
Yeah, because
All right.
Makai side has it. Thank you.
Go ahead, Noel. Noel, are you here?
Hi, I'm here. I just was curious, have you guys gotten any pushback on this project? And if so, what has it been? And then also just what else can I think you kind of mentioned a little, but maybe just in a concise way, what other community outreach will you guys be doing?
The outreach right now, so we've gone to both the neighborhood boards just within the past couple of weeks. We'll be having this community meeting. We've sent out postcards to advertise for it. We'll have a feedback period. And then we will go back to the community meeting or to the neighborhood boards after we have revised the plans. Yeah, we'll also be canvassing before the meeting next week.
I don't think anything we do in government gets no pushback. But sidewalks are relatively low controversy compared to, say, bicycle facilities where you're taking parking, you're taking on-street travel lanes. So pretty broad consensus. Of course, we are talking about speed control. We have heard from other folks, they would like us to consider speed humps, things like that on Date Street. So we're curious where the community kind of lies on that. That's always somewhat a matter of like personal opinion and philosophy. So generally pretty broad support for sidewalks. We have maybe some of you remember during COVID, we had some pop-up kind of walk bike lanes in the McCully neighborhood with cones, just trying to create space for people to walk in their communities while we were all stuck at home. And we heard from the community loud and clear, like, please just build proper sidewalks in our community. So we're really responding directly to requests from the community.
All right, Laura, you can be our last question. By the way, some people have other questions about bridge and things like that. There are some questions that DTS answered and they're printed out on the table. So if there's other things you have for DTS, this will be our last question and then we have to move on.
Okay, first of all, please state what is the budget that it's the 2080. How much of that has gone already into your planning salaries? This is a huge amount of money that's going in. Also, we don't know what the federal government money will really come down to. And certainly all of the legislators here tonight are saying they are strapped for funds. So that money is not really coming forward either. On Date Street, I was at the Neighborhood 5 presentation also. Date Street does not need anything other than street calming devices, that is humps or the bumpy strips that are put in. It's used as a speedway through. We have a very nice bike path and walking path already. Yes, it isn't on the other side of the street, but that's extra money when it's money is needed in many other places. We have Kuile Waiaka, which is a speed trap also and needs a street calming, and Young Street needs street calming. These are things that need to be done that are not very expensive, but can slow the traffic down, save lives, and really reassure the general population. The sidewalks really are way excessive in what's necessary. And one last thing, the McCully Bridge was talked about for decades to be fixed. I asked the Board of Water Supply just tonight about the structural integrity of their big pipe that runs across to the side. There's no reason why the bicycle and pedestrians can't run right along on that and make it appropriately design-wise looking like a little bit like
30
the
seconds.
Kalakaua Bridge. Okay, you get the point? Yeah, okay. Bunch of stuff, please. Have all.
All right. I don't know if DTS wants to respond. Otherwise, thank you very much, Kaylin and Renee, for coming. We appreciate it. All right, let's move on and hear from Dismissed Charities. Many of them who flew from out of state to come to this meeting, so thank you. As long as you are mic'd.
All right, great. Aloha kako, chair, members of the board, and community members. My name is Ethan McCown. I am a planner with Group 70. I am joined by our principal planner and architect, Reen Matsumura, back there. And we are here with our great partners from Dismissed Charities, a wonderful nonprofit. Next to me here is Ellen Donnarumma, president and CEO. And then in the back here, we have Kathy Blue, vice president of development. We'll hear more from those folks at Dismissed Charities in a bit, but we're here tonight to share information to the board and the community for a conditional use permit for Dismissed Charities that we will be submitting the application for to Department of Planning and Permitting this year. Next slide, please. So Dismissed Charities is proposing a federal residential reentry center at 1857 South King Street. That's about a block away from the intersection with McCully Street. Nearest cross section is Pumehana. And this facility will be repurposed. It's currently vacant to provide residential services to local Hawaii folks who are transitioning back home from federal incarceration on the continent. Next slide, please. And I'm going to turn it over to Ellen, so Ellen can talk a little bit about their nonprofit, the great work that they do across the country, and a little bit about the services they'll bring here to Hawaii.
Thank you. Thank you all for having us here tonight. It's a pleasure to be here, particularly with our local partners at G70 and Armstrong Builders who have been helping us with this project, as well as some other folks in the community. Dear Dismas Charities was founded in 1964 by Father William Dearson, who you see on your screen. He was a wonderful, kind man who found himself as the chaplain of the state institution and recognized that young men in particular kept coming back and coming back and coming back, and realized that something different was in order, and thus was what began as Dismas Charities. 62 almost years later, we are the largest provider of residential reentry services to the federal government, the Federal Bureau of Prisons, Department of Justice. We operate 38 reentry centers across the country. 35 of those serve federal folks coming home after incarceration. We populate 14 states with those centers, from West Virginia all the way to Arizona, from the Texas border to South Dakota, and a lot of places in between, a lot of very snowy places tonight. But we also operate a day reporting center here in Honolulu. Lucy Zhang is here with us tonight. She's our director. That center has been open over at the Nimitz Center for a couple of years. It serves those folks coming home, but it's a day center, so it can only serve those folks who have a place to come home to, a home to come home to. And that's why this project that we're talking about is so important tonight, because it will enable people to come home, to live with us, to get themselves settled, and then to move on and not find themselves stuck in webs of incarceration and homeless and living on the street. Since the time we began serving people, we have served more than 250,000 people. We have served their families, and we have served many communities. And it's all been around the vision of Father Dearson and our focus and our commitment to our mission of healing the human spirit.
Thanks, Ellen. Yeah, next slide. So a little bit about the community need, because it is apparent. We have a critical need in our community for a residential reentry center like this. You know, Hawaii is actually only one of 2 states without a federal reentry center. And, you know, members of our community, these are local folks who are completing their incarceration on the continent. You know, once that incarceration is finished, they need a place to live. They need a place to reconnect with their families who maybe they've been away from for a long time, gain employment, and receive social services. Next slide, please. It's important to know that Dismas operates in real lockstep and under the Federal Bureau of Prisons. So the Department of Justice actually determines eligibility for community placement. So the residents at a center like this are actually cleared by the Department of Justice to be candidates for this type of residential transition services. Yeah, next slide, please. We'll have to move pretty quick. So a little bit about the project location. It's at 1857 South King Street. It's a 5-story building. It is currently vacant. Previously, there's been a restaurant in there and office use. And this is adaptive reuse. So Dismas at this facility would not require any significant changes to the building exterior. It would all be interior. There are 2 levels of parking within the structure on the lower level, and then 3 levels of operational space above that. Next slide, please. A lot of content here, but I think the main thing to focus on that we want to make clear to the community tonight is that Dismas is bringing expertise of evidence-based programming that they have been using successfully on the continent for decades. They focus on a tripartite kind of approach: education, employment, and obviously crucial to that is family support. And the goal is to provide holistic services to support reintegration of folks leaving incarceration. Next slide, please. This facility would have a maximum of 75 residents. That doesn't mean it's 75 residents right outside the gate. That just means that that is, I think, the contract that you guys have with the Federal Bureau of Prisons to serve up to 75 residents. And in addition to that, 25 home confinement residents. So these would be folks that live at home, but then report to the facility once per week for services and checking in. All of the residents, as a condition of their residential programming, have to be full-time employed. Next slide. The facility will be employed 24/7, 365 with alert and awake staff. All services, meals, laundry, case management are handled within the facility. Let's see, is that the next slide? Yeah, let's do the next slide. And I think this is going to be the main thing, of course, that folks probably have a question about, maybe, I would assume, in the community. So if you want to take a picture of this slide, please do. It's security and accountability. And this is something that is so well built into and integrated into Dismiss's programming. This would be a secure facility. There are no walk-ins, there's no dropping by, there's no loitering in front. Everything is very strictly and appropriately monitored, tracked, and enforced. People who are arriving have to check in. Folks who are leaving, have to go through a checkout process. When they go to work, they confirm that they have arrived at work, and when they leave work, they confirm that they come back to the facility. Next slide, please. I think another major thing we want to mention is that we're not expecting any traffic or parking impacts. Again, no exterior modification and no noise impacts from this facility. Next slide. And, Dismiss is really committed to be a member of the community. They have a volunteer neighborhood relations board that they have at all of their facilities that they would also have here in town in Honolulu. And they've also been doing an enormous amount of work to inform, educate, and get the support from city officials, including the mayor's office, state elected representatives and senators, and then from the federal delegation as well. So they're really committed to being a part of our community. Next slide. We're close to wrapping up. So tonight's presentation is just informational only. There's no vote from the board. We leave the neighborhood board tonight. We answer questions, we get questions from the community, and then we submit our conditional use permit to DPP. Any questions you ask tonight, we should have an answer between myself at G70 or Ellen with Dismiss or other folks that we have here. But then all of your questions and concerns will also be addressed within that conditional use permit. I think we can move to questions and answers. Oh, also, please take a picture of this slide as well or screenshot it. Kathy Blue, that's her email. She's in the back here. You have any questions about tonight? You want to call Kathy, talk story, hit her up. She's an amazing, amazing, amazing individual. It's been a real pleasure working with her and Ellen. So we'll take any questions now. Mahalo.
All right. Thank you very much for the presentation. I'm really glad that you guys want to help people integrate back into the community and also help us with a building that is currently vacant. Who on the board has any questions? Identita?
If I'm understanding correctly, with the no visitation, I guess my question is, how does one integrate into community then? I mean, I'm being facetious, but it almost sounds like they're still incarcerated. No one can come visit. You have to do drug tests every so often. You have to check in when you come in. You have to check out when you leave.
It's a very controlled environment, but it is not to that extreme. People do check in and check out. It is our responsibility to know where our residents are 24 hours a day. That's our job, and we do it through a number of things. We also need to verify that they're keeping their commitments, that they're being accountable in the community when they go out to work, or they may go out to meet their family. When we say no visitors, there's no dropping by. This is not a place where you're going to see people hanging out on the front step, or you're going to see people popping by to see their old buddies. People can have visits in the center. Many times our residents choose to have visits with family in the community. We do like to engage with the family, and we love for family to come to the center and participate in programming or fun activities. But those are all done on a pre-approved basis, just like the way the residents move in the community. It's based on a pre-approved accountability method. So if they're going to work, they have a set time they need to be back. And if they're not back, we need to know why and what held them up. But you're absolutely right. A very, very important part of what people learn when they are in our center, and I say this all the time to our residents, is when you come in, you may be fully committed to being accountable to us or to the supervisory authority. And by the time you leave us, I want to know that you're accountable to yourself and the people you've chosen in your life, because we're all accountable to people in our lives. So that's really the transition that we work to help them through.
Right,
Does that answer your question?
Good. Go ahead, Chris.
since Hawaii doesn't have a facility like this right now, when someone gets out of federal correction, do they just come back here and just try to do the best they can on their own, or is there another system set up for them?
If they come back here, they're pretty much on their own. If they have a safe place to live and approved residence, they may be able to participate in the day reporting center that's been open for the last couple of years. But right now, most people who are coming back to Hawaii are having a reentry experience, maybe in California, maybe in Arizona. And when they finish that up, they have to begin all over again. And so they are coming back with tenuous ties at best. They have to start over with employment. They have to start over with housing likely. And so there is no alternative for federal folks coming home.
Go ahead, John.
Yes, first blush, I actually like this. I do have one question, and it has to do with you mentioned that you have, I think, close to 250,000 of people that have been served by this. I was wondering if you have anything along the way of statistics on recidivism with your program versus, just releasing people out into society. That's my question.
There are a couple of things I can tell you about success rates in our programs. And that is that close to 90% of all program participants complete our program. We have a very hard time, frankly, getting really good recidivism data from the federal government. But we do know that evidence-based, community-based programs are likely to increase or lower the odds of recidivating by more than 20 points. That's tried and true data, and those are the kinds of centers we operate.
All right, Kayla Holani, you're gonna be the last question. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you guys for your presentation. I really appreciate it. With personal family members who was serving time on the continent and coming back home. So this is awesome to hear. I'm in support of it. I did want to ask, coming from a Native Hawaiian perspective, speaking about it locally, I think there's about like a 20% of the incarcerated, at least here in Hawaii, are Native Hawaiian, with only about 37% of us being Native Hawaiian in the state's population. So I guess my question is, I'm wondering what type of reintegration that's maybe rooted in culture for those people returning back to Hawaii, whether they're Hawaiian or not, that you folks have in the works, or if not, then that's a suggestion that I would really like to make to your organization.
I love that question, and I appreciate the support. So many of us have been touched by incarceration in one way or another. So absolutely, the first place we will start is we will hire staff locally. This program will have 28 full-time staff positions. We will hire locally. Lucy Zhang, who's in the back of the room, who operates our day reporting center, will be key in building this new center and leading it for us as well. Ethan has been kind enough to connect us to some folks he knows who can help us with that Native Hawaiian cultural piece as well. So it will be local, it will be focused, and it will be hiring and working with people who are from here, helping people who are from here.
All right, thank you so much for coming, Dismissed Chair Denise. Laura, no, we do not have time. No,
I'm in support
go
of the
ahead.
program.
So we're going to go
want to
ahead and
say,
go on to the next
please-
thing. We
please
don't
get
have
the
time.
DOE
Laura,
and get
we
them
don't
the
have time.
Community School for Adults.
All right.
I've worked with them.
Lori, please
Get
go
them,
ahead and come up.
also
Thank you.
the Community School for Adults is a very important
All
piece,
right.
and also the apprenticeship program at HCC. Get them in line.
Excuse me,
before you
Laura.
Get the program set up. I'm only saying important things. Morgan. You cannot say that.
All right, Lori, thank you.
Hi, good evening. I'm Lori Lum, and I'm assisting PBR Hawaii with community outreach and engagement. PBR Hawaii was retained by the University of Hawaii to prepare a feasibility study to explore potential redevelopment options for the parcel. It's the EVA parcel located at 2321 Metcalf Street. So the property is approximately 15 acres of land. It currently houses the College of Education and the University Lab School. And the College of Education is scheduled to relocate by spring 2028 to a new building, which is now the Snyder Hall. So it'll be the Snyder Hall replacement building. In the 2023 Hawaii legislative session, House Concurrent Resolution 178 was adopted, and that urged the university to conduct this feasibility study assessment regarding redeveloping the property into workforce housing or other affiliated uses. So over the last year, I've met with area elected officials and various community organizations within Manoa, as well as UH student and faculty organizations. It was really to help, the purpose was to help identify the needs and priorities and concerns related to the possible redevelopment with a focus on enhancing the UH Manoa student experience. A website which included an overview of the study and an online survey was launched August 20th of last year. And the online survey was developed based on information that was compiled from these previous outreach efforts and meetings with representatives within the university and the Manoa communities. The survey received a total of 1,120 responses, and I'm going to quickly go through it because I know in the interest of time, and I have to be under 5 minutes. So I'm going to really state the question and just jump to the results. So the first question asked for your affiliation, and 557 participants were identified as from the university, student, faculty, staff, or alum. Then we had a category if you were UH and University Lab School, and 121 checked that box. Community was 245, so about 22% participants who identified as a resident of Manoa or a community member, just to check that box. And then we also had a University Lab School alone box, and 197 checked that box. So again, the first question, what types of housing options could help improve the quality of life and community connection to the area? And the top 3 preferences were UH campus related housing, student housing, followed by staff housing and faculty housing. The 4th preference was for overall affordable housing, followed by short-term housing. And you could select multiple boxes. So the percentages are based on the number of responses. They don't necessarily total up to 100%. Next question, what types of educational or institutional facilities could help improve the quality of life and community connection? On that, UH campus-related facilities collectively were the majority of responses, 1,336. Broken out by type, study areas, research space, classrooms, office space, and computer labs were highlighted. There was a preference for ULS facilities and a K-12, and that received 737 responses, so 72% as a single combined category. Next question, the community facilities could help improve the quality of life. The top preference, so 73%, was for multi-purpose outdoor space. The second was multi-purpose indoor spaces, and it was followed by community garden and performance stage. Next question, what types of commercial services and or activities could help improve the quality of life and community connection in the area? Of the 688 that supported community services, the top 3 preferences were for food and dining, followed by a grocery store and child or daycare services. The 4th preference was just overall healthcare services, and that was nearly tied with entertainment and retail shops, which came in last. Okay, next question, what types of public open space could help to improve the quality of life and connection in the area? The top preference was open space, 705 responses. Second was for walking trails, and that was followed by recreation space, and lastly, a dog park. Okay, and next question, what types of transit mobility infrastructure could help improve the quality of life and community connection. The top preference was pedestrian infrastructure. That received 83%. Second was bicycle infrastructure. That was nearly tied with bus infrastructure. And the other preferences were car, which was really parking, Biki or bike share infrastructure, and which was really referring to the docking station. The last two questions were really open-ended questions. It was what kinds of positive impacts do you hope the land use or activities you checked above will have on UH Manoa and the broader community? And do you have any concerns about how land uses or activities you checked above could impact UH Manoa students, faculty, staff, or the broader community? So those last two open-ended questions is what's taking PBR longer to categorize. Once their analysis is completed, the final analysis, along with information from 2 community workshops, which were held last May, will be posted on the website. So what are the next steps? All of the information gained from this community outreach will help inform PBR in developing these potential land use options for the property. So next, they will start to engage in concepts or start to begin the concepts. Then cost and engineering studies of the plans will follow, and they anticipate having some plans and a draft financial analysis by the end of the year.
All right.
I'm going to pause.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Lori.
you.
We have time for 2 questions. Does anyone on the board have any questions? Or online? Okay, go ahead, Laura. You can ask a question if you're asking. I don't know if you're raising your hand or not. Go ahead.
Okay, we have no map. We all say that we want the open space, remaining open space, and from a preservation historic point of view, of which I'm a member of that community also, we have a historic reason to keep that open space because it joined the 2 College of Ed, which was on the normal school, and the College of Tropical Ag together in one whole, with the Founder's Gate being the center. So we need a map, and you know that the Manoa community was outraged at the last presentation, community presentation. They just were actually shouting, and it was not a conducive meeting to anything. So you know that there are not people that are interested in doing anything. So could you show us a map, please?
I don't have a map to show tonight, but it is a 15-acre parcel that is bordered Metcalf, University Avenue, and Dole Street.
All right. Thank you very much, Lori. All right. We will move on. Go ahead, Dale. Dale has a resolution.
Thank you, Chair. So my name is Dale Vanderbrink. I'm the second vice chair of the Ala Moana Kakako Neighborhood Board. I'm here to bring a resolution to oppose Bill 54. Bill 54, in its plainest terms, increases bus fares. It increases them for monthly and annual adult passes. It increases them on cash-only fares, and it disproportionately affects people who utilize the bus as a daily means of transportation to work, to whatever event they're going to, and back home. And I think it's really bad to make these people pay more money. So, you know, I don't want to read the entire reso because I know you're very limited on time, but let me just give you some of the facts that are listed in here. So the adult monthly pass will go up from $80 to $90. The adult yearly pass will go up from $880 to $990. So both of those are a 12% increase if you get a monthly or an adult pass. The cash fare goes from $3 to $3.25, which a lot of us don't even have quarters, so it's likely going to be $4 for many people just to pay in cash. And the free transfer, which if you go onto the bus and you decide to transfer buses within 2.5 hours currently, well, you can transfer for free. But they reduced the 2.5 hour limit to 2 hours, which means if you go from the leeward side, North Shore, Mililani, or Wahua, you're likely to pay 2 single fares just to transfer to go to those locations. So I would ask you to pass this resolution to urge the McCully Mōʻiliʻili Neighborhood Board to ask the city council to oppose Bill 54, which in and of itself is being heard on Wednesday in its final reading.
All right. Thank you, Dale. Anyone have questions about the resolution for Dale? Drew?
Just a quick question. Do we know if the raise in fares is tied to a lack of money to provide maintenance or operations for the department?
So that's an interesting question. This is actually only going to raise $4 million. Currently, fares only raise about $40 million or so, give or take, for the city in and of itself. But the budget for OTS, which is manages the bus services, is about $400 million. So it's only going to increase revenue by about 1% compared to their total expenditures. And it's really not going to make any difference. It's really just going to hurt a lot of people that ride the bus as opposed to fund for city services, which they don't even have any holo cards for sale at the airport, which a lot of tourists come here and would ride the bus. I think if they want to raise revenue, they should just sell more holo cards specifically at the airport instead of forcing residents to pay.
I think you can buy a holo card at the airport at the rail stop.
You can, but not inside the airport itself.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for Dale? All right. Do we want to motion to discuss it, or shall we go to a vote?
Go to a
All right.
vote.
Are you motioning, John?
I motion we go to a vote.
All right.
I second.
All right. Okay. We will do a vote in one moment.
Aldana,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Johnson,
Just to be clear, aye on opposing, correct?
yes.
Okay.
And I vote opposes City Council Bill 54, 2025 on the bus fare increases.
Aye then.
Aye. Kachuk. Absent. Menina, absent. Minerby.
I oppose. Aye.
Oh, aye. In favor of the resolution. Okay. Pope.
Aye.
Quadri is absent. Robati is absent. Salas.
Aye.
Wong.
Aye.
Young.
Aye.
Lee. 9 aye votes opposing City Council Bill 54. The resolution is adopted.
All right. Let's keep going. We are on a roll. Daniel, you want to come up?
Hello, everybody. Dan Brick, Department of Environmental Services, Deputy Director, Mayor's Rep for tonight. I will start off with this month's highlights from the Mayor's newsletter. So Kurt Lager was sworn in as Chief of Ocean Safety. New flood risk maps take effect June 10th. The restroom near Kapiolani Community College was vandalized. Construction begins at Waianae Police Station and transit-oriented housing coming to Kapolei and Kalihi. So as always, the mayor's newsletter can be found at honolulu.gov/mayor/newsletter. The city launches new and improved HNL 311 system. So on Monday, December 1st, the city launched a new and improved HNL 311 system, which our residents can use to report issues to their communities that need to be fixed or addressed by the city. Residents can submit requests for service via the HNL 311 mobile app, which is available on Apple or Android devices, or by visiting the website hnl311.com. The new HNL 311 system is more intuitive and easier to navigate, which means it has never been easier for residents to submit requests for service to the city. On the city's end, the new system will make it easier for our departments to track and respond to the issues that have been reported. Once an issue has been reported, it goes directly to the department that is responsible for that type of request, and if users are registered for an account, they will get notified whenever there is a status update to the request. The city can only fix issues and solve problems that we know about. So instead of taking a video of a broken sink and posting it on Instagram, snap a couple of photos and let us know by submitting an HNL 311 request. So it's a great app. I recommend everyone uses it. It'll shrink down my updates.
It's a different 311 app than the previous one.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Curtis is saying yes.
Okay. So moving on to updates. So last year, we had concern about speed humps and slowing down drivers. It was asked who installed and maintains the speed humps by McKinley High School on Pensacola Street and Kapiolani Boulevard. Can the city share speed and traffic data on how much speed humps contributed to slowing down drivers in traffic in the area? So the speed humps were installed by the state DOT, and DTS is still compiling data. So the Alawai Bridge project, board member Minervi asked if winter 2025 meant December 2025. Laura Ruby requested specific timeline and public process for the Alawai Bridge project. So the updates, for clarity, the website has been updated to indicate winter 2025-2026. The release of the RFP continues to be expected this winter. So that's the seasonal winter. Yes. So moving on, noise cameras. Who's the city's point of contact to talk about noise camera activity or initiative in the city of Kanya, Honolulu? So this request should be referred to the board's governor rep, HDOT rep, or state elected official. Kuile Street and Kahuna Lane. Can DTS turn this intersection into an all-way stop? There was a motor vehicle accident in this area November 19th of 25. And it's also asked, can DTS install no parking sign on the southeast corner of this intersection? There's a fire hydrant nearby, and Kahuna Lane is a narrow roadway. So DTS has completed its investigation of the board's traffic concerns along Kahuna Lane and Kuili Street. DTS review included an all-way stop warrant evaluation, an analysis of the area's traffic collision history, and a field inspection. The installation of an all-way stop requires a warrant analysis in accordance with the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, also known as the MUTCD, which is the national standard recognized by the Federal Highway Administration. Based on the analysis, the minimum vehicle volume warrants for an all-way stop were not met at this intersection. Regarding the reported traffic collision in November 19th of 25, the incident resulted from a motorist failing to stop at an existing stop sign on the street. In addition, review of the area's traffic collision history within the past 3 years did not identify any patterns, conditions, or unusual circumstances that would warrant the installation of an all-way stop at this location. However, field inspection determined that the existing stop sign and pavement markings were faded. So accordingly, a paint and sign work order has been issued to the Department of Facility Maintenance. So that's PSW0 or PSWO 39342. And so DFM is to restripe pavement markings on Kuile Street and install larger stop signs to improve the visibility of stop control on approaches to the Kahuna Lane intersection. Parking is prohibited on Kahuna Lane and on the Cocoa Head side between Kuile Street and Nako Okoo Street. DTS field inspection confirmed that this section of Kuile Street would benefit from additional no parking anytime signs on the Cocoa Head side near the southeast corner of Kahuna Lane intersection. So accordingly, under PSWO 39342, the additional sign will be installed. So for additional updates, you can contact DFM at 768-3622. Another DTS concern, the crosswalk at University Avenue in Kuile Street. Does DTS plan to remove the crosswalk and prohibit pedestrians from crossing at this intersection? A DTS news release on July 14, 2023 reported that only 36% of drivers stop for crossing pedestrians at this intersection, and there's a nearby protected crosswalk at University Avenue and South King Street. So a previous DTS evaluation recommended that the crosswalk on University Avenue and Mōʻiliʻili Street remain in place and be upgraded under a future project. Proposed improvements include extending the median to provide pedestrian refuge and installing a rectangular rapid flashing beacon or pedestrian activated flashing beacon. These improvements will be incorporated to the University Avenue Bikeway Improvements Project, which is anticipated to begin selection of design consultant in the fiscal year of 27. In the interim, DTS plans to install additional signage to enhance the pedestrian awareness in addition to repainting the faded markings. So South Beretania Street repaving. When will DTS repave the right lane on South Beretania Street from Isenberg to Keomoku Street? There are portions of the roadway, especially in front of the Central Union Church, 1660 South Beretania Street, where the pavement is bumpy. So DFM reports that this portion of South Beretania Street is currently contracted to be resurfaced this year. DFM's Division of Road Maintenance resurfacing contractor is currently working on the traffic control plan, and approvals needed to start the work. So once the traffic control plans are completed and approved, the contractor will begin scheduling dates to begin work. Okay, so moving on. Waiaka Road repaving. When will DTS repave 809-901 Waiaka Road? The roadway is in very poor condition with bumps and potholes. So this section of road is under the jurisdiction of the State Department of Transportation and should be referred to them regarding repaving of this street. So next I have a concern we are following up on the pedestrian bridge over Alanayo Stream, aka Houston Ditch, between the ball fields and Aloi Park. So the question was brought up, when did it close? Did the mayor's administration allocate to have plans for a CIP project? The board adopted a resolution urging the repair and restoration of the footbridge at Aloi Community Park on Monday, July 28th, 2025. So from DPR, there are no new updates from the Houston Bridge. We are about to begin work on CIP for FY28 and will assess where the bridge can fit with other projects being planned within the department. Next, when did the homeless out and navigation for unsheltered persons stop operating at the old stadium park? And where are they now? The website on the information is old. So Honu stopped servicing the old stadium park on November 18th. They are currently located at Waipahu Cultural Garden Park and tentatively plan on staying until the end of April 26. And finally, resident Karen Lynn read that October 2025 minutes mentioned the NCO is looking into setting up a way to keep track of issues and address answers timelier than month-to-month neighborhood board meetings. She said this is a great idea and asked for an update. So the city recently launched HNL 311, which I spoke about earlier. The program allows residents to submit directly to the relevant departments, track status, request as they're received and worked on. So we recommend using this 311 system for issues that require faster attention than the monthly neighborhood board meeting. So there are no plans for a public database of mayor's rep question and answers at this time.
Okay, thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
As you know, the building is going to close soon. So if there's questions that people have for the board report, please send them via email. You can talk to Dan. Yeah, that'd be the best way to go ahead and do some, or put them on 311. Taylor, if you have 2 seconds, you can go ahead. Sorry that we have waited until this very last moment.
Oh, hi, Chair and Board. Sorry, I wasn't sure you said Taylor. But really quick, my boss is just in the middle of, preparing for the new year, but We don't really have too many updates other than, we're gonna work with the board to plan a couple of park cleanups coming up soon. He's really, my boss just went to the opening of the recent dog park at Punahou Square. So that's like inner district, and he allocated some funding last year for more dog parks. So that's something he's really trying to advocate for in this new year. So we're hoping to see some of those pop up. And otherwise, we're just working on maintenance of the district area. So please feel free to bring any concerns to the front, and I'll take those down and bring it back to our office. But yes, thank you so much.
All right. Unfortunately, we have to be POW with everything right now. So I'm going to adjourn this meeting. We're meeting in February. I'll see you guys all then. Thank you for coming out.